know that we've been going through this series called Forever. And you also might know that there are some things that you would never want to do for forever. For me, what's top of the list? Play Monopoly. Have you ever played Monopoly and thought, I want to play this for the rest of my life? Of course not. It is the most frustrating game I've ever experienced, ever. But there might be some other things that maybe you could imagine doing forever, for eternity. I'm talking 24/7, 365 days a year. I'm going to give you a list of things right now, and I want you to put an F in the chat for forever or a P for pass. Here we go. Sunny skies, thunderstorms, spicy food, cereal at every meal, working out in a gym, taking slow walks on a trail, riding a bike everywhere, naps, feeling hyped, feeling hopeful. Only in our dreams, right, do we eat endless amounts of cereal and have these nap time options all of the time. But today we're going to talk about how we can actually have some of these things forever. We all know that life can be a little chaotic sometimes. We're actually experiencing, I think, one of the most chaotic years of any of our lives right now. So the question is, what do we do in those kinds of difficult moments? Who can help us? Where is Jesus in the midst of all of this insanity? And it might seem like a weird time to talk about this, right, after Easter, but it's actually the perfect time. I've experienced hopelessness in my own life. When I was maybe 29 years old, 30 years old, I got pregnant for the third time. That's right, you know my two amazing kids, but you might not have known that I actually was going to have a third child. And I was so excited. The family was jazzed. We had even started to prepare stuff for our next child. But about 20 weeks into that pregnancy, something went wrong. Something went terribly wrong. And it was the scariest moment of my life. And I ended up on a hospital bed having to say goodbye to my third child. I have never in my life felt so sad, so dark, and so alone. There are moments like that where it feels like the darkness is your best friend, right? Like you don't want to be seen, you don't want to get out, you don't even see a way out. And that's how life can feel sometimes. So where is God when that kind of hopelessness is in your life? Well, last week you guys got to talk about doubts. This week we're going to talk about hope. So let's actually start by picking up on the story of Mary. You guys remember Mary. Mary Magdalene was one of Jesus' most devoted followers. She loved Jesus so much. He gave her a brand new direction in her life. He changed her life literally. So when he died, she was hopeless. Let me read for you a quick part of that story. So this is what happens right after Mary goes back to the tomb and cannot find Jesus. All the disciples are there with her. So it says, then the disciples went back to their homes, but Mary stood outside of the tomb crying. And as she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw two angels in white seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and one at the foot. And they asked her, woman, why are you crying? They have taken my Lord away, she said, and I don't know where they have put him. Mary is so devastated. She has just lost the most important person in her life, and she's sitting there and she's just weeping so much, right, that she doesn't even see who's right in front of her. These angels have appeared and they're talking to her, but she can't see it. Have you ever been in a situation where you didn't recognize something that was right in front of you? Like, think of the most recognizable person in your life, okay? You're like, I could see that person if it was the back of their head. I could see that person if they were walking a mile away, right? Like, I feel like that with my dad. I'm like, that's my dad's hat, that's my dad's walk, that's my dad. You just know. Mary feels this way about Jesus. She knows every part of who Jesus is. She's dedicated her life. But she's so overwhelmed with grief and hopelessness that she can't even recognize, can't even see what's right in front of her. This is what happens next. At this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not realize that it was Jesus. "Woman," he said, "why are you crying? Who is it that you're looking for?" Thinking it was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you've carried him away, tell me where you've put him and I will get him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned around and cried out in Aramaic, "Rabboni." Rabboni, which means teacher. Jesus said, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet returned to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am returning to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went to the disciples with the news, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her. Have you ever been in a really foggy weather or a blizzard where it's like impossible to see even like right in front of you? Or maybe you've had like an ear infection, right? And it's difficult for you to hear anything because you're so overwhelmed by that discomfort. Sometimes that happens with us and Jesus too. Sometimes we are in difficult situations and we lose sight of the fact that Jesus is actually there with us right then. Other times we can't really hear, we can't understand what Jesus is saying to us because of the discomfort in our lives and the pain that we're experiencing. And sometimes when we're feeling hopeless, we forget to even look for Jesus, all because we've been so preoccupied. I told you that I was in the hospital and I was feeling incredibly alone and hopeless, and I was crying so much that I was making myself sick. And then all of a sudden, I heard something louder than my own cries. It was somebody else crying. I opened my eyes and I looked over, and there was a nurse leaning over me, weeping so uncontrollably that her cries were louder than my cries. And I remember thinking in that moment that this nurse was feeling my pain. To me, it was a sign that God was with me. God was weeping with me. This woman was a sign that I was not alone. Sometimes in the midst of our own hurt and suffering, we forget that we are not alone. In our hopelessness, it's hard to remember that we are actually with Jesus. Where do you need to see Jesus? Where do you need to see Jesus right now? Because the resurrection reminds us that there's hope. Jesus is not gone. Jesus is here. He's here. He's here. And he's moving in the world around you. Jesus really is alive. And that love that brought Jesus back is the one thing that can give us hope unimaginable.
What is up, FCC High School Group? I got a couple announcements for you. Number 1, did you know that we are having in-person outdoor youth group? What? Yup, starts next Wednesday. But what you need to do is talk to your parent or guardian and go onto our website and go to Outdoor Youth Group and sign up. There is a new time. It's going to be from 6:30 to 8 p.m. But if you're like, Rhonda, I can't go in person, I want to do online. Well, guess what, homie? You're going to be with me. We're still going to be meeting at the same time from 7:30 to 8:30, and we're going to be meeting online. Whether that's Discord or on Zoom, we'll let you guys know. We have been doing outdoor, in-person services on Sundays every other week. So, if you're going to that service and you would actually like to help Pastor Danny out with the little itty bitty kids and helping out with kids ministry, let him know. Go on our church website, find Pastor Danny, find his email, go ahead and email him. Yo, Pastor Danny, I want to help out with the itty bitty kids because I'm a super cool youth. Go ahead and do that because that would be dope. Or you might be like, Psh, Rhonda, I don't email. I know his number. So go ahead and text him. Yo, Pastor Danny, I want to help out with kids ministry on Sundays. How do I do that? What is up? If you're like, dude, we're having in-person Sunday worship every other Sunday, I want to go. You can! Go ahead and sign up on our website. All right, our final announcement. Our dear, wonderful, super awesome, amazing Pastor Nancy is retiring. I know. It's a shocker. It's okay. We'll get through this together. But if you're like, Rhonda, I want to do something for Pastor Nancy because she's hecka dope and she's been there for me my whole life. And to that I say, you're so lucky. I wish I knew her my whole life, but I will get to know her for the rest of my life. I'm so grateful. And so what we need from you are pictures. Maybe you got some with Pastor Nancy. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, me and Pastor Nancy selfie all the time. And if you do, I am very jealous. So go ahead, send us pictures. Maybe you want to send an encouraging letter or note. Go ahead, go on our website. Or if you're like, Rhonda, I want to send her a video of me being like, dang, Pastor Nancy, I love you. And I'm so sad you're retiring, but I'm very happy that you're retiring. But at the same time, I just love you through it all. You can do that. So go ahead and be like, hey, I want to do that. Again, same website, www.oaklandmcc.org/events, and find Pastor Nancy's wonderful and beautiful face on there. All right, guys, that's it for my announcements. See you later. Bye-bye.